Forrest, you ready?
He made me.
Call to order the regular meeting of Tonganoxie USD 464 Board of Education for Monday, March 14th, 2025. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Moving into presentations. Item 1.4, sorry. Scrolling too fast here. TMS Champion School Initiative. You guys have the floor.
Hi everybody.
Hello.
Hello?
We're super excited to talk to you guys about us being a champion school and all the stuff that we do. I am Holland Here. And I'm Reagan Thomas.
And we are two 8th grade peer mentors at the Tonganoxie Middle School.
And this is also Miss Bates and Miss Rowland. They're the CVR teachers at the middle school.
So I'm not going to talk very much because these girls have done a wonderful presentation. But we appreciate you letting us come today because we're really excited that we have become a champion school this year. I don't know if you've ever heard of what a champion school is. I had never heard of what a champion school is. But it has been an exciting and wonderful opportunity for all of our students, not only the special needs students, but our general education students as well. So what a Unified Champion School is, it's a school program that promotes social inclusion by bringing together students with and without intellectual disabilities. So Parker Ost, he is the CVR teacher at the high school. He's the one that really introduced us to the Champion School. I mean, I had heard of Special Olympics before, but I thought it was something that happened like in the summer and in the winter, but really it is ongoing. There are so many opportunities for our students, both our gen ed students, our peer mentors, and our students with disabilities. And so we got in touch with Special Olympics, and they talked us through how we could become a champion school. There's 3 components that are involved with becoming a champion school. You have to have whole school engagement, unified sports, and an inclusive youth leadership. And we had all 3 of those. So usually when you talk to Special Olympics, they're like, you need to do this, this, and this, but we already had that in place. So they're like, you already are a champion school. And so with that, we have a wonderful resource and collaboration with Special Olympics. Ms. Rowland and I are the liaisons between Special Olympics and the middle school. And we also received a $2,000 grant to help with our program, especially our unified PE. So I'm going to let these ladies talk about how we became at Special Olympics School, everything that we have involved at Tonganoxie Middle School.
Thank you. So the first component into being a champion Olympic school is our unified sports program. So our unified sports program, it includes students with and without intellectual disabilities.
So 2 of our main activities and sports that we do with our CVR students is unified soccer and unified basketball. These are really, really fun activities that you can do with the CVR students. They're out of school activities, and kids from around the district come and they play a friendly game against our kids. And also the peer mentors can help out by either playing the game with them or helping out with the game, and it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So another thing that we do as peer mentors is unified PE with Miss Bond. So this is one of the most important things that we do in this program because all of the peer mentors who are in the program are in this class, and it is an inclusive PE where us peer mentors and Miss Bond collaborate on making inclusive lesson plans for our PE class. one of the examples for this is when me and Holland made an obstacle course that was wheelchair friendly. We had an amazing time, and I think everybody else had an amazing time too.
So
Yeah, and we just have a great time with that.
okay, component number 2. At TMS, we implemented youth leadership and youth activational opportunities.
So the first thing that we do as youth activational opportunities is the peer mentor program. So there's 26 peer mentors in this program, and that's a lot of people, but we're definitely looking to expand in later years.
So, another thing that our CBR students do around the school is electives and general education classes. So some of the electives that they participate in is STEM, art, and facts. So in facts, it's a lot of fun. I was a peer mentor in facts for a little while, and it was a lot of fun. So you do activities with them, you help them understand what we're learning about, how to do the activity, and we cooked and baked a lot in that class, which was a lot of fun. In STEM, I'm not a peer mentor in that class, but I've heard it's a lot of fun. You do a lot of hand-on work in that classroom, and there's a lot of projects. In art, as you might know, you do a lot of artwork, coloring. We don't ever do the stuff for them, we just help them with it, so it's a lot of fun. We also have general education classes. We only have one, which is 7th grade geography.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a peer mentor in that class, but I heard that it goes pretty smoothly, and yeah.
Another thing that we do is community outings. So this is so fun, and I love doing this. So one of the things that we do is we go to Walmart to get supplies for our Warrior Cafe for the teachers, and it's basically a huge scavenger hunt around Walmart. So we get a list at the beginning, and then we go around finding our stuff and writing down the prices of the on-brand stuff and the off-brand stuff. And then, as you can see in the picture, we meet up in the costume section and have a little fun over there. So, yeah, that's our community outings.
A lot of fun. Okay, so we also do jobs around the building, around the school. So the first 3 quarters, we did do jobs, but now it's a little bit more scheduled. I don't know.
Set into place.
Yeah. So 4th quarter, we've been doing a lot more of this. So during 8th hour, we all meet in Miss Spates or Miss Rowland's room, and up on their board, they have all the CVR students' names in 3 groups, and you are paired up with one peer mentor, and you go and do jobs around the school. So some of the jobs that we do are wiping tables, doing recycling, trash, dusting, vacuuming, and restocking the refrigerators. And it's a lot of fun. We've had a few difficulties, but we've gone past them, and they're a lot of fun. And it gives the kids a sense of responsibility, and it's really taught us how to deal with difficult situations, and it's just a lot of fun. And I don't know, it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so another thing that we do is fundraisers. And so these are really, really fun, obviously. This whole program's pretty fun, if you couldn't tell. But we do Warrior Power Punch. So some of the peers and the peer mentors, they go and they make these energizing drinks, and they're really, really pretty and they're good. But we go and we hand those out to the teachers, and they can order them. We also do concessions at basketball games, and we do
The Warrior Cafe.
The Warrior Cafe for the teachers. And during 8th hour, we make supplies like peanut butter balls, and we sell those.
They're so good. Okay, so another thing, we do a lot of stuff with our CVR kids, but this is my favorite. We go on field trips. Every quarter we go on one, and they're a lot of fun. So we've gone to the movies, I think 2 times. We've gone to the pumpkin patch. We just went to I didn't go, but they went to the zoo just today. And I think that's all that we've been to. But it's a lot of fun, and it's really great to see the kids outside of the school building and just interacting with them. And it's a lot of fun. And oh my goodness, like the bus ride there had us giggling like the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun.
It's really nice to connect with the students on another level besides being in a classroom, and just like seeing, like having more fun, like activities to do. So, yeah. And most importantly, our job as peer mentors is to make sure everybody in our school feels included. So this is obviously something we do very well because our peer mentor program is definitely succeeding. Not only are we making our peers feel included, but everybody around the school needs to feel included. And I think that the peer mentors are doing such a good job with that because people around the school look at us as role models and examples of friendly people, so they're not afraid to come up to us and say hi. And I think that everybody is just having a great time.
I'm going to chime in here. So this is a youth leadership summit that we got to participate in. It was something that Special Olympics did in November. So I was able to take 4 of our Special Olympic athletes, and they chose a peer mentor to go with them. And so there was over 80 students from 12 different schools. They engaged in leadership activities about inclusion. And then as a teacher, I was upstairs with other teachers, networking with them and just bouncing off ideas about unified sports and unified PE and just different activities that we bring to the school about inclusion. But this was a great opportunity. One thing that about the Special Olympics activities, really we've been kind of the only middle school involved. And so we're hoping that we get some more middle schools on board because when we go to our unified sports, we're up against high school. Although we didn't play school on Saturday, we got gold on Saturday. But it would be nice to have other middle schools there with us as well. And also with the Special Olympics, I wanted to add the high school is a champion school. The elementary is also becoming a champion school along with the preschool. So the preschool is its own separate champion school.
So the component 3 is that we participate in whole school engagement.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I love this one. So we do Special Olympic monthly projects. So me and Reagan pretty much, we do most of this kind of stuff. So you might see on there are a couple of posters. So TMS loves a little bit of some friendly competition. So we do a thing where, we did this one time. Yeah. So we did where every single classroom got one piece of poster paper and then they had to make a kindness poster, and whoever had the best kindness poster won, and so on. So that one was a lot of fun. My favorite personally was Deck the Doors with Kindness. So in years past we've done Deck the Doors for like winter time and Christmas time, which is just a competition in all the classrooms. But we were like, let's add a little spin of kindness with it. And we decided to do Deck the Doors with Kindness instead. So when you create your door, it has to have something to do with kindness. So for example, my classroom, we did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and how he was included in fun and games. So that was a lot of fun. Another thing that we did was the kindness wall. Oh my goodness. Okay, was the kindness wall. So everybody in the school got a brick and they had to write something, how to be kind on it, or how they were kind, or something that they would want said to them. And then they had to make it bright and colorful, and we created a little wall out of it, which is so fun. And then we did the, what is it called?
The Flower of Kindness.
Flower of Kindness. We did that at the elementary school and here, which was so much fun. So we gave everybody a hand, and they had to write a hobby on it, something like
that makes them unique.
Something that makes them unique. And then they had to make it super bright and colorful, and we created it into a flower. And we also did it with the elementary school, which we don't have a picture of, but it was so cute and it was really pretty. So to do all of these, we create a Canva, and instead of going to every single classroom and presenting, we do a voiceover, and they just listen to it during Warrior time, and it's really fun, and all of the kids love it. It's a lot of fun.
So these are some ways that this program benefits the school. So not only is it benefiting the peer mentor and the peers, but it's including the entire school. So it's creating new relationships with people, just having a whole friendly environment and giving kids a reason to want to go to school. Because I know sometimes school can be a bit boring. I know that firsthand. But with this program, we definitely make it just so much fun with everybody at our school. And it's impossible to put into words how much this program has done for our school.
Like, they genuinely want to come to school because it's so fun now. Okay. Oh, what's happening?
Sometimes in Canva, the pictures don't show up on the.
Well,
They
it's
did a
okay.
really good
There are a
job
couple.
putting pictures on them.
So, skills that peer mentors get. I definitely feel that I have changed a lot over the school year. At the beginning, I just felt like no one was really looking up to me, so I didn't really care what I was doing around the school. I didn't feel like I had to work for anything. But now that I'm in the CBR program, there are kids that are looking up to us, so it's making me a better version of myself, and it's making me like set a good example. I don't know, it's a lot of fun. And skills that we get are leadership, friends, communication, which you're going to use all through your life, and a whole bunch of other skills.
Yeah, it just benefits you in like a
So
lot
many
of
ways.
ways. So another thing that we have is friends around the school, and as I've talked about before multiple times, there is a lot of new friendships stemming, especially with our kindness projects, because in particular the hand one. So with the hands, we had them present what made them unique. So we noticed that since they're getting out there and getting out of their comfort zone, they were actually seeing how similar all of them are. So I think that really benefits like the friendships and just the overall happiness of the school.
And not only the CBR students are making friends, also us. I have made so
Yeah.
many new friends. Thanks for listening.
Do you guys have any questions?
I just want to say I love your enthusiasm. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And they worked really hard on these slides. Something with Canva, when you
Yeah.
present it, sometimes the pictures don't show up, but they did a
We,
really good job.
we have the slides and they're beautiful.
Oh, you
So,
can see them?
yep.
Okay.
So all the pictures are there and all.
Okay, good. I don't know why it does that.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, just want to say we're really proud of you for not only coming tonight and doing a nice presentation like this, but you're making a difference at the middle school. So good job.
Great job
Yeah.
with the presentation. It was very good. Well, thank you again. That was very good. Mr. Gordon, CPA, you've got big shoes to fill.
Thank you.
I will attempt to follow that. My name is Sean Gordon with Gordon CPA. We performed the fiscal year 24 audit of the district, so I'll go through the audit report that I just handed out to you. We'll start with pages 1 through 3. This is called the Independent Auditor's Report. Here we discuss the opinion that we issued the district's financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2024. Further on down, we talk about management of the district and the board members' responsibilities for the district's financial statements. And then we ended up with a few more of our responsibilities as auditors. The most important paragraph here is page 1, the third paragraph down. You'll see an italicized heading called Unmodified Opinion on Regulatory Basis of Accounting. Here we present in this paragraph that the highest and cleanest opinion that we could issue the district's financial statements, we did issue. So that reflects very well on the financial and internal control management by district staff during the fiscal year 2024. The next section forward is page 4. This is called the Summary Statement of Receipts, Expenditures, and Unencumbered Cash. Here you'll see in the left-hand column all of the different funds of the district, and then for each of those funds, beginning cash, receipts, expenditures, and ending cash. You can see at the very bottom of that right-hand column that the district is reporting a little over $22 almost $22.2 million on hand at June 30th, 2024. The next section forward is called the Notes to the Financial Statements, and that starts on page 5 and runs through page 11. Here we discuss a variety of items, including the different accounting policies that the district follows. There's information on the deposits and investments of the district, involvement in the Capers retirement program, long-term debt information, interfund transfers that were made during the year. Like I said, a lot of information disclosed in this section. This section is mostly the same as what you saw previously. In previous audit years, there were no major changes required by the state for this section. And then the next section forward starts on page 12 and runs through page 38. And these are just more detailed breakouts of those funds that we saw previously on page 4. In these sections, we break out in detail all of the different revenues, receipts, and expenditures that take place in each of the funds. And then the final section starts on page 39 and runs to the end of the document. And this is called the governmental audit section. Anytime an entity receives and spends $750,000 or more of federal grant money, it's required to undergo what's called a single audit. So you can see on page 39 all of the different grant programs that the district had during fiscal year 24. During fiscal year 24, we focused on the education stabilization funds, the ESSER funds that were spent during the year. And for that, we've also issued an unmodified opinion, meaning that the district met all state and federal guidelines regarding that grant program. So again, great job, gold star for everybody involved there. And then the final thing I wanted to mention is we had one auditor's recommendation. I don't know if you saw that or not in your agenda packet, but it had to do with a statutory bond for a project. So that was just the one recommendation we had. And then the final thing I want to end on is we had a great audit for fiscal year 24 with Rebecca and her staff, and we appreciate everybody involved in the audit process, Audra as well. They did a great job of answering our questions and getting us all of the information that we needed, so we do appreciate that. With that, any questions for me on the audit process or the audit report for fiscal year 2024?
So this catches us up.
Correct. Yes, sir.
From, where we were, and then we will start on next year's budget at what time? I mean, Rebecca reached out and wanted to schedule sometime in September, and I think we can make that work. We haven't finalized a date yet, but we can make that work, and then that would get us here presenting that fiscal year 25 audit report sometime October, early November, somewhere around there. Yeah, perfect.
Very good. Questions? Well, thank you for working with us and getting us all caught up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Becky.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. I am back for another communications update. Today I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of what the communications department is doing to support the family and community collaboration aspect of our strategic plan, and you can see it up there on the screen, just some of the pillars involved in that part of our plan. The two main tools that the communications department uses in making sure that we reach the right audience in the right way at the right time are School Status Connect, which I've touched briefly on in previous board meetings, as well as social media. So those are the two tools that I'm going to be discussing in tonight's discussion. So the first tool that we use is School Status Connect. If you'll remember, this is our mass communication system that we rolled out in fall of 2023. It was kind of a soft launch, but at this point we are all on board, and all district communication, with the exception of lunch balances and transportation notices, is flowing through School Status Connect. And if you'll remember, the reason we moved to School Status Connect is because we had lots of classrooms using all kinds of platforms: Seesaw, Band App, Remind, Google Classroom, email, Skyward, all over the place. So we wanted to streamline that into one platform, and it used to be called ClassTag. It is now called School Status Connect. And so we feel like it's going pretty well. There are customized notification methods for parents. So depending on if you like getting text, email, app, you can decide how you want to get your information as a parent and as a staff member. And there are different kinds of communications that we share out. There's announcements, I won't read them all, but child stories, activities, different types of announcements that can be shared. There's two-way messaging, so parents can direct message any staff member in the district in a protected, supervised forum. Teachers can also call from School Status Connect. They can call parents at any time using School Status Connect without having to use their personal cell phone. And one thing that I did want to point out is that they do have a priority alerts function. So let's say I'm a parent and I like to get my information via text. I set up my alerts to get them via text message. However, in the event of crisis messaging or inclement weather messaging, we can turn on the priority alerts function, which overrides all of your preferences, because in those situations we would rather over communicate and make sure that we are reaching you in every avenue that you have on file. So if I've selected text but I have an email on file with the district, I'm going to get an email as well. So those two situations, that's a recent change in January, I believe, where we started using priority alerts for inclement weather messaging as well, because we want to make sure that all parents and staff know as soon as possible if we've made a change to the schedule due to weather. I pulled a report today and updated this. Since August 1st of this year, we've had over 19,000 communications exchanged. This is all types of communications, so direct messages, announcements, stories, events, anything that's going, any type of information exchange within the district is included in that number. And over 92% of our families have been engaged in the last 3 weeks, which is great numbers for us. So there's a lot. Our open rate for messaging is high, and so I'm very pleased with how it's functioning so far. I do conduct audits every 6 to 8 weeks just to make sure that we have any parents or new families that might not have information on file, or maybe we have people that didn't get pushed out of the system when they moved, just to make sure that everything in there is correct and that we're still reaching people in the right way as often as possible. This is another tool that is not really related to School Status Connect, although we did share it out on that platform that we created this year. It's a communication matrix for parents, so that if they have a question, instead of trying to call the district office or the building or their teacher, we've tried to kind of structure kind of a chart of where you start, and if you don't get the answer you need, you move to the next step. And this is a two-sided document. On the flip side, I don't have the flip side in the slides, but the flip side lists all of these individuals and their extensions and email addresses. So that's another tool that we've utilized this year as well, that hopefully provides parents with a little more structure and organization on how to communicate with us. Any questions on School Status Connect?
Have there been any issues with parents not getting like emails, or if it's the two-way trying to contact back to the school and not getting like through?
Sure. So one issue we did have this semester was middle school. At the middle school, we had students that weren't getting messages, and that was because School Status Connect had added some domains that had not been whitelisted on our end. So that was a great way for me to pull a report and say, okay, let's figure this out. Why aren't students getting messages from their classroom teachers? And we were able to, School Status Connect customer service is super great, so we were able to get those domains whitelisted and push out invitations to re-register the students that weren't getting the messages. So there have been maybe a handful of situations like that, but not really any kind of concerning level of dysfunction. All right, so the next tool that you guys know I love my social media is all of these on the right-hand side are things that have been posted to our social media. These are different photo series or initiatives that we use to share what's going on in our district. 464 Storytellers, if you'll remember, is the initiative where all of our staff members have access to our social media platforms. And you will see, if you look at our social media platforms, that we have all types of content from all types of classrooms. And I've been really pleased with the level, the increase in engagement and the increase in content that we're getting. because we're able to reach all the classrooms. The teachers can share what's going on in their own classroom in their own words, and really all my role is to screen the posts and just approve it. So I've been very pleased with the content that our staff are sharing from our classrooms. Some of the photo series that we do that you've seen are Staff First Day of School, Hometown Heroes, where we kind of spotlighted all the graduates that now work for our district. Family Ties just concluded a few weeks ago, where we spotlighted families that work in the district together. Throwback Thursdays is recurring. New staff spotlights we're doing every August. Senior spotlights are ongoing right now, which is voluntary and free for any senior that wants to be involved. They submit a picture of their choosing, and then we have favorite class, favorite memory, and future plans. And that's one of my favorite things of the year, is to see where everybody's going, what they're doing. Everyone has such varied interests and career and future paths, so that's pretty cool. And Summer Snaps, we started 2 summers ago, so this will be our 3rd summer. And that's where we just highlight what's happening with our students and staff during the summer. Like, okay, we're not in the school building. Our students aren't in the school building, but they're still doing awesome things, and we want to share that on our platforms as well. So that's a 6-week series in the summer. Alumni spotlights, we have some of our alumni there along the bottom that we've spotlighted recently. And then we've also really been utilizing socials at tong464.org to encourage people, students, parents, community members to share good news with us. And that email address has been a great way for people to contribute and get those stories on our socials as well. I got an email today about the heavy machinery class and a project that they're working on, like an on-site real project with a photo that'll go up later this week. So that's been another tool that we're using. And I only have a couple more slides, but something I wanted to talk about is the power of social media, and how in these posts we're tagging groups and organizations on our platforms instead of just putting text up there with some pictures. Social media is very strategic. It's fun, but it's also very strategic to share our mission, vision, and goals and what's happening. And these are some of the posts that we have shared at the district or the building level, so elementary school, middle school, high school, or the district office, and how they've been reshared. So on the top left, you have a post from the high school that was submitted by Heather DeMaranville, I believe. And it was reshared by Safe Kansas, which is Seatbelts Are for Everyone, which is really cool. We have a post also by Heather DeMaranville, I believe, from the high school about FCCLA that was shared by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas. And this is because we're tagging these organizations in our posts. And so we're not just getting the local community and students and staff, but our posts are far reaching beyond just our little district boundaries. The third one over was, if you remember last spring, the senior class did a prank at Mr. Witt's house where they snuck into his basement. And that screen grab right there is actually from WESH News, which we pushed it to KMBC 9 here in town, and it found its way to a news station in Florida and got over 1,000 views. So that was pretty neat to see. The far right one is the high school as well, and underneath it you'll see the text. It was shared by various emergency management organizations, Drive Safe Kansas, our local police department, KDOT, the state KDOT. So we are sharing the message of Tonganoxie far beyond just our little district boundaries. The screen grab from the video has almost 7,000 views, and this isn't even in a classroom. This is in the cafeteria, and it was Mr. Bowers doing cafeteria karaoke with our elementary school kids singing a Backstreet Boys song, which is hilarious, and I highly recommend you look it up. We love it. And so kids are having fun inside the classroom, outside the classroom, eating their lunch. The other two that I do want to point out are the elementary school. This student, Georgia, won a rug design contest, and we tagged Winger for Music Education in our post, and they commented, "What a rock star, we're so excited," on our post. And then Skills USA reshared, the national organization reshared one of our posts from the high school as well. So this is just, 7 examples of ways that social media has expanded our reach to people beyond just our local community. The last slide I have for you are screen grabs from Instagram. And in January, we had 925 followers, and we reached on average 60,000 views every 30 days. In February, we increased that reach to 88,000 views in the last 30 days, and we gained some followers. And then 2 weeks later, we were up to 978 followers and 106,000 views by different accounts in the last 30 days, which I was pretty excited about because that means we are expanding. Right now, our average is between 85 and 95,000 views over a 30-day period, but we are still gaining followers. I think we have 1,015 right now. And while it's exciting to see that we're reaching people all over the state, county, country, really, one of the coolest things about the Instagram account especially is that students are being champions for each other. You will see them resharing them to their stories about their friends, resharing them to their own stories all the time, or commenting, reposting them, which is also really cool to see because it's great to share our story with everyone outside of the community, but when students really feel like they can be champions for each other, I think that's really important too. So those are the slides I have for you today. If you have any questions, I can take questions.
Mr. Grattan called me the other night, and he was pretty distraught that he hadn't been highlighted as a hometown hero yet. I don't know what can be done about that.
I'll put him at the top of my list.
Absolutely.
Looks good. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Becky.
All right, Mitch.
We got to start talking about the order here. I can't keep following up those little girls from the middle school and Becky talking about all the fun. And... all right, make it go. Worst. I know. You weren't near as bad as middle school girls, which was awesome. Here I am to talk about spending money. So, again, keeping in the fun we've been having, just updating our projects and kind of letting you guys know where we're at as far as some summer stuff we got going on, our continued diligence in spending bond contingency and things of that nature. So a lot of this is old hat. I'm not going to get into it a whole lot. The big project, again, we have this summer is new roof and new HVAC at TMS. We got a pre-construction meeting here in about a week and a half to really start diving into schedules, install, and getting our two contractors on the same page as to making that project run smoothly, working hand in hand, being able to complete both projects, and both contractors have been great to this point as far as readiness to do that. Fitting new, we'll have some different shapes and sized units up on the roof, so there'll be some curb fittings and adapters and things like that we're working through right now. But as far as all that stuff goes, it is we're off and running and in a great place with those two major projects this summer, and obviously both came with a pretty large price tag, but going to be a huge help. Our roof at TMS is starting to show some wear. Casey's here. That's what she's for, to smile when I said that. We really could not have picked a better time to do this. Obviously, extremely fortunate to be able to make that improvement, but that's ready to go. Jump right into everybody's favorite, TES. Couple updates. I'm sure you guys saw we did a lot of repair work here in the last 2 months, and all of that came from the extreme cold snaps we had there in January, where we were losing our compressors and our systems. And we, again, have talked about this about as much as I hope to ever talk about anything. But, we had mentioned being post 10 years on our warranty with Trane. There was naturally a 1 year, then a 5-year warranty. Trane extended our warranty to 10 years at one point. That has expired now, so now the cost of these repairs, I'm sure you guys see when you look at our invoices, has gone up, and I would say borderline doubled almost per repair. So every time we lose a compressor, that cost has doubled because there's just no warranty to parts or labor anymore. We were getting half of that knocked off of there. So what you're seeing is the result of kind of what we've talked about. Every time we seem to get extreme cold, down in negative temperatures, we lose a lot of compressors. And I bet you we are somewhere around 12 to 13 of those we will have replaced by the time this whole thing's all said and done. So that is what you are starting to see, and we'll probably continue to see a little bit of. However, the work is now completed. So starting, with our VRF-8 and kind of working their way back across, we are functioning now. Compressors have been replaced, boards have been replaced, and our VRF systems are operating as they should right now. And again, when we live in a mild temperature range, they do a pretty good job. All that to say, they are on VRF-3 now, which is the system that covers our first grade pod. That is the one we approved for repipe work, and they are into replacing compressors and boards and all the guts of those units. Right now, they are on site today starting that work. When they complete the replacement of the compressors and all that, then they will begin the repipe work. So that is all on their schedule over the next 2 weeks. We will have train in the building, finalizing those repairs, and then once that is done, we should be should be in a spot where TES is running operationally. So when we start to get those 85, 90 degree days here towards the end of the semester, I'm not going to give any guarantees, but the idea is that we are in a good spot for that moving forward. Our next big test will then come end of July, early August, when we start hitting those extreme 100 degree days, and we'll see how VRF-3 and that repipe system operates and holds up to that, and just kind of really starting to drill down. Just to update, Lauren and I have set up some time to meet with Train. They are continuing to work through not only our current status of the current units we have on the roof and the repair work and the financial side of what we've done to that, but also our energy efficiency and things like that. They're preparing a study to deliver to us to try to make good on allowing us to make the next decision going forward. So we are coming out of the woods on completing the work, and then our next step will be to really start hammering down on which units that we maybe should identify to be the next one to be replaced, kind of like I talked about at the last board meeting. Whether we want to do it one system a summer, 2 systems a summer, one giant project, we are beginning to dive into that. So like I said, everything has been replaced up to this point with the exception of our last big project, which is replacing the compressors on 3 and doing the repipe system there. So questions on the elementary school before I move on, because I know that's always a hot button topic.
No, I think we've got that time this week to talk further with Train.
Yeah, that's kind of what. So we'll dig into it a little bit more there. Except as I stand here right now, I feel very good about where it's at moving into the end of the semester. Again, I will refuse to use the word guarantee. So moving down. So a couple of these other projects, the TEMS multipurpose field, I personally am kind of in a spot where I want to make sure we are covering our bases with the elementary HVAC repairs and understand financial implication of that long term before we really dive into a lot of these other projects. That being said, DLR is preparing to design, engineer these projects for us, so we own that set of plans. We have a meeting Friday to kick that thing off and begin our programming session of that, which will basically just cover what are we looking to get, what do we want, where's it going to go, does it fit. So that'll be us, DLR Group, and Schlegel and Associates as the civil engineer, just to make sure stormwater management, utilities, and things like that all fit kind of what the district's vision is for that, and then they're going to take our vision and begin to put a plan together. And again, I think where we're sitting, that plan is going to be enacted on once we have a better picture of the long-term financial impacts of what we're going to do at TES. So the multi-purpose field, and then this other one that says DAC parking lot, that's at bus parking and additional parking out here that we've talked about. That's both encompassed with DLR next week.
Let's expand on that.
Yeah.
Not just on the west side, but we're also looking.
Yeah, just the general.
The area where the buses are parked right now.
Yeah.
Down below, we're also looking at that area on how we might be able to use that area for bus parking. So trying to expand the scope of giving us options.
So this will really kick off, for me personally, our district's master plan, our long-term plan for what our property is going to be. We'll both out here, out there, out at the middle school. Some of that will probably encompass what we think our next move as a district is building-wise, but really taking this property that's out on the curve and behind on the south side of this building, and having a long-term plan, whether it's something we act on right now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, being able to deliver you guys a plan that you're comfortable with and that we can move forward with. So the TES-TMS parking lots. That is, we mentioned this, and I believe next month we will have this on the agenda for approval. We bid out a edge mill and overlay of our current parking lot behind TES and TMS, as well as crack fill and seal coating the rest of that property. So we are going to edge mill and overlay the large parking lot between TMS and TES, and then every other basically piece of blacktop that we own in that facility will get seal coated, will get restriped. We've got all that. I sent out an RFP. We had great response on that. And so this number here is the bid that won that to complete that work. So I will have all that for you for next month. And we got 6 bids on that. Came in really competitive, did a good job for us. I think originally we had earmarked almost $800,000 for that. So we have, when we go to dive into our capital outlay master planning, we have definitely saved some money there with some good directive. So seal coat and joint sealant, that's done. Not done, but we've approved it. The work will be done this summer when kids are out here. That's just the recaulking of the T-pack precast walls. And then we are, just as far as the shop and field house air conditioning additives, our contractor is still working through load management there, and we don't feel a huge hurry there. I think that's going to be a pretty simple, basic project, not anything to be overthought. Boiler replacement here, same kind of deal. We've got some meetings scheduled for this summer to talk about exactly how we want to attack that. And then, per the usual, when I come up here, I have added to my list this next one, the THS track overlay. We had a couple coaches approach us about cracks and holes in our current track. So we kind of started to explore this. Our track was installed, I believe, I'm going to get this wrong, 2016 if I'm not mistaken. We had a brand new surface put in. Had a contractor come out and take a look at us just to kind of give us a recommendation on what they think it is. Again, we're working industry standard here. The life of your track's about 20 years. With a overlay or a respray is what is going to happen on that about every 7 to 8 years. So we are actually right on that window of needing a respray. And what you'll see when you go down there, if you were to walk our track, it's red, but if you look at it, there's a lot of black coming through. If you see a lot of black areas and black spots on the track, sometimes it's low lying for water. What that is the actual base of the track starting to move through. We have worn down that red spray coat. So very similar to what we're doing on the parking lot. The recommendation is they will come out and add a coat and respray the top layer of that track to, where that black is the base of the track. If that black starts to get damaged or we start to lose that, then we're talking a complete and total replacement of the track. So the respray of it, the overlay is going to be recoating that surface, and it'll repaint the track and do all that. But again, like I said, the recommendation there is about every 7 to 8 years, and that's kind of where we're at. Budget number we got on that's right at $100,000. So we will do similar to that. We will send out an RFP, try to get 4 or 5 bids on that. Or track resurfacing isn't quite as popular of a industry to be in as parking lots. So hopefully we'll get at least 3, if not 4 bids on that. And Lauren and I will chat a little bit more about how that fits into our master plan and our capital outlay / bond contingency spending, but something we'd probably like to see done, just more of a preventative maintenance, maintenance that we'd have to do, very similar to refinishing our gym floor. So something I think we can get done this summer if we think that financially it works. And again, if that is the case, then post this meeting on Wednesday, I'll begin the RFP process and possibly have that for approval in May as well. So again, not near as fun as Instagram posts, but here we are. So, questions?
Any questions?
Boiler.
Yes,
I thought there was a boiler at the middle school. Did I misunderstand, or was it here?
it's here.
It's here.
Yes,
Okay,
we have
very good.
2 boilers here, one just bought the farm, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's pretty obvious Mitch has a lot on his plate, and he has been working on all these things daily. I mean, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, and he's doing a great job with it. And I mean, we're very appreciative that what he's bringing to the board each month is really good information for you to hear and to to think about as we move forward. So, appreciate it.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, sir. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Any patron comments? I don't think so. Superintendent's report.
Okay. All right. So Brandy and Tanya and I met this morning and kind of went over high-level plans for our June 10th retreat. And I know we haven't shared it yet, but Brandy kind of put together a really nice plan. Most of which is at a high level is we'll meet over at Midwest Bus. They're going to host us, and so they're going to do a barbecue meal for us too. So that's all part of that process. We have a nice conference room over there. If you all know where that is, that's where all the buses are over on the highway there. But we buy buses from them, and they've been a great sponsor for us. But anyway, we'd like to have people show up around 11:30, then we'll get started. But it's split into 2 sessions. First session is going to be all the things that we're going to do with the administrators, which is the goal setting and also looking at all the academics and progress in the first hour and a half, 2 hours. Have a break, then come back, and we're going to do the budget side. We have Greenbush coming in, is going to talk about the budget 101, but also looking at our budget, and planning that goes in place in that. And I think that's been a request by board members, and I think that'll be a good process too. So we almost have it all planned out. It's just April. So we'll keep moving forward. Okay, another reminder, we have June 1 is the deadline for filing for re-election. For those that are interested, you know who you are. So got that coming up. Transportation, just want to kind of keep this out in front of you a little bit. Jill and I meet, about once a week, and one of the things that she has talked to me about, which I know is true, is our minibuses are starting to age out, and they are. And not only that, but the need for minibuses, and even maybe a minibus with a lift, is becoming more and more of a issue that we have to look at. So it's not just a minibus to run around and transport, students. There's more to it than that. The other thing is she did apply for the clean air grant. We initially didn't get it, but some school districts don't use those grants or they turn them back in. They have contacted us about the availability of that. Those grants pay for 25% of a bus. So that's something we'll look at, is if it's in our favor. We have at least one bus that's aged out, a 77 that's aged out, and that we'll have to replace. We still have one bus that's on order that we haven't received yet. It'll be another 10 to 12 months before we get it, or maybe next fall. So anyway, I just want to kind of keep that on your idea. I did include this little information from Cody. He sent that out to you for graduation, which is not far off. May 10th, unbelievable. So there we go. There's all the little perks. He would like to know who's all coming, at some point here, so that he can get the chairs set up. We did receive our audited legal max back from KSDE, and it's good. I mean, it's a good report. We also found out that we probably will have to republish to gain additional state aid, which isn't a bad thing. It's been a while since we've republished a budget. I can't remember the last time we did, but so that'll be additional general fund money based on just our FTEs and all the weightings that took place. So that'll come. We probably won't do that until June, only because we need to find out what our final SPED numbers are the first week of June. We may, there's a chance that we may have to also republish for SPED dollars, but we don't know yet. So that's why the lateness of all that. I did put a whole bunch of information in my Friday report. You saw that. Just trying to keep you ahead of all the things that are going on. So if you take a look at that, I'd appreciate it. And otherwise, it's been busy days. Best way to describe it. A lot going on. So anyway, thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions? Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Tanya?
All right. I continue to meet with the handbook committee that was established for the purpose of reviewing the handbooks and our negotiated agreement. TEA has appointed folks to serve on the handbook committee with me, and we've made it all the way through the certified handbook. We will start on the negotiated agreement next, and our next meeting is scheduled for April 29th. Also, I've attached Tanya's topics, the March edition, where I talked about the KISA accreditation plan update. We submitted our plan to the state, and we received word that it was approved and ready to implement. We were pretty fortunate. Many of the plans that are submitted on the first try are not accepted, and they send them back to you. You have to redo, and ours was accepted on the first try. So I feel like our district leadership team did a great job coming together and putting that plan together, and it was met with approval. So we are ready to move forward. Frontline has been going well. We continue to meet weekly with the folks on recruiting and hiring portion, and then the central portion. It's been a very, very long process. Audra and Becky and I have met weekly. So we've worked since October, meeting every week, and it's been a very long process. You build it from the ground up, basically. But as things are going, recruiting and hiring is up and running, working well. We've made it through a few kinks where we thought we had the permissions to view things correctly, and we had to update that just a little bit. And then on the Frontline Central piece, everything looks to be going well. We were not able to test our forms like we had hoped, so we're going to have to test them on actual people in the system. So we're ready to move forward with that. And hopefully those things will just go along without a hitch. There are a few other things that we are updating as we go in Frontline Central. One of those pieces is I'm making sure that all of our credentials are entered correctly. So the teacher licenses, whether it's initial, professional, where they are in the stage, their expiration date, and then Frontline will track that for us and notify those staff members that their licenses will be expiring in the near future. So that is very helpful, rather than just keeping track of it on a spreadsheet and maybe missing some things. So I'm in the process of getting all that entered, and hopefully that'll move along well. The only other thing in there, our partnerships with TEA, the Handbook Committee, and then our spring recruiting events. We had some folks go to Kansas State University. We have the West Haven Baptist Classified Job Fair, and THS is hosting a job fair as well for our high school students. So we'll be at that one as well. Questions?
Questions?
How's the recruiting and hiring looking for this next year? Do we have a lot of positions available? And
I think we filled almost all of our positions with the exception of one, but there are some interviews, I think, tomorrow for high school.
So the toughest one to fill has been high school language arts.
Yes.
It took everybody in the state is struggling. Language arts, your upper level math, your chemistries, those really. We're getting good applicants, elementary level. Casey didn't have a whole lot of
No openings.
But elementary had lots of interviews a couple weeks ago for some positions that were open, and so that's a good sign. But the high school's been a little tougher. We were very fortunate to hire 2 of the ag positions where a lot of schools still have that position open. So, I mean, that's a positive for us. I know there's a lot of people out there contacting other teachers, you know, almost like recruiting, poaching is what I call it. But, you know, and that's just part of it. They throw money at these teachers, and
It is a very good.
meeting today with Baker University, the Department of Ed, and they said that they have the lowest amount of people going into the field of education that they've ever had, and over 70% of the people going through their program are second careers, so people going back into teaching, or that had a career and then they're changing careers to go into. So not very many young people going into education at all.
that's absolutely correct.
I think we were very fortunate. We hired our ag and our upper level science positions early. Normally those are super hard to fill, and we got those filled very quickly. English is normally not hard to fill, and
Not out there.
we're struggling with that. The colleges and universities are not graduating any folks in English, so very, very few.
And I would say a real successful strategy for us in a lot of schools is you get good student teachers in. You hire 'em, and those kids are getting hired in February, not in May.
Early, yes.
Yeah, they're hired. If you know they're good, then you start that process of, hey, you want to stay here, but that's what everybody is doing.
Special education has been another area that's tough to fill, and it's always been tough to fill. We are having more success in growing our own instead of just getting applicants from outside. It is unfortunate that we're not getting any special education applicants from outside, but we are able to recruit our own. We see paras and other staff members who have great promise, and they're going through a program, and then we're helping them with jobs and, you know, the ability to shadow and do some internships. So it is definitely a very tough market out there.
Okay.
Good question, though. Thanks.
Other questions? All right, moving into action items. Action item 5.1, approval of additional bills. I would move that we approve action item 5.1 as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-0. Approval of new courses. So there's some documentation, but maybe Lauren or Tanya.
Brandy's here.
Brandy, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Apologies. I thought you just wanted to hang out with us.
You know I did.
Yeah.
I did. I'm glad to be here again. Good to see you all. Yeah, there are a lot. There are 14. I was meeting with Jody Smith today, just talking about them to review my notes and make sure that I had everything correctly, because she has been working on this for months, and I just got the whole rundown at the meeting, and then looking through them over the time as I've been getting them, but just making sure. So I'll go through kind of my notes on them, and if you guys have any questions about them, I'll try my best. But there's 14 of them. There are 2 that are welding. It's welding Washburn, welding KC. And that's because we're trying to finish out our ag tech and mechanical pathway. Those were things that were already on the books. We're already sending kids to those places, but we just wanted to make sure that we have that coding in our system. And a lot of these are going to be things about coding it in the system and just making sure that it aligns with the way that the pathways are. These are all put through at a special meeting because a lot of this verbiage and these things come out slowly, a lot slower than where we had our meeting set in October. The reason we did that was to help with the enrollment at the high school. Mr. Witt was really hoping to increase or improve how kids were enrolling, and then these are not coming out till December or January, and so it's just hard to make these all kind of meet up at the same time. The next one we have is the workplace experience finance, and that is very specific for a pathway in finance. Then the ag internship is for all ag pathways. This is something, again, it already exists. It just needed a different name. The cybersecurity and the business tech classes are both new classes. That's in an effort to get more tech-based classes. There's also a
STEM requirement that these will be able to fulfill. That will start for the kids who are coming in, those class of 2028 kiddos. There is an ag mechanics class. It might be listed still as ag construction on the paper, but it is an ag mechanics class. It is very similar to shop or like a construction class. We are not able to find somebody who is willing to come and teach at a high school a construction class at this time. So what we found was an amazing guy who's willing to come in and do our ag department job that we had available, and then he is very into working out in the shop and things like this, so he'll be kind of our guy for going to the ag mechanics on this. The last 7 are all intro to healthcare and healthcare pathway classes. So they're things that have already been in existence before. Intro to healthcare and healthcare essentials they used to be called Healthcare 1 and Healthcare 2. That pathway fell off. We weren't able to fulfill that with the teachers that we had. Now we are able to put that back on. We are able to fulfill those. The CNA at KCK and the KCCC and CNA at Washburn are both classes that we've already had. We just had them under a different label. This will just make it so that we're keeping better track of those kiddos. The healthcare work experience and then the medical terminology are actually both very popular classes. Medical terminology is already something that a lot of students are showing interest in. And then the last one is the CNA for Tong. We don't have that yet. We don't have somebody who's able to teach that yet. That is a goal so that we don't have to continue to send students out for CNA classes. We are putting that on the books right now in hopes that in the future we are able to have one of our own teaching that CNA class.
And so,
Go ahead.
and we think we can staff these with current staff then?
Well, with the addition of the ag teacher,
That's already been approved.
yes.
Yep.
And hired, yes. And that's going to make a huge difference in the class selections for our VOAG program, because we've been limited for 2 years. And so that's really going to expand it. So we're really pleased for that. And,
Yep.
And yeah, and now not all these classes will go into effect
Correct.
immediately.
Right. Most of them are on there or just going under a different label, but there are a couple that I think are not yet. But we have teachers for all of them lined up. We're not hiring new individuals for these.
Right.
Questions from the board? I would move that we approve item 5.2, approval of new courses as presented. Is there a second?
A second?
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Brandy.
Item number 5.3, approval of additional TMS elective position.
It's Casey's here.
So, they don't need any new positions at the high school, but it'd be great if we could get one at the middle school. So I am looking at our master schedule from this year and looking forward towards our master schedule to next year. This past year, we were able to put several things in place without hiring any new staff members. So we were able to implement honors math, honors English. We were also able to implement an intervention class. And we were able to do all of that without hiring any new individuals. But what we had to do to make all of that work was we took our PE classes, and those became a core class for every student. So every student now has PE, which is fantastic. Our kids are active in different types of wellness activities every day. However, when we implemented that, we took 3 of our elective teachers, 3 elective spots out of the rotation. And so we were able to do that. Number crunching, everything is okay, but we are quite full in our elective classes. So our class numbers are really large. And we also just don't have a variety of elective options for our students. So we do have music and band, but not all of our students are musically inclined. I'm not a band person, music person, so I would really struggle in those 2 areas. So that would leave, we have our shop class, our FACS class, which is like home ec, art class, and STEM. So with our 4 quarters of the school year, those are our students are taking those electives. There aren't any other types of variety or options for our students. If we were able to add in another elective, we'll be able to provide more opportunities for our students. We will also be able to balance out our class sizes a little bit better. When we have done elective classes in the past, we want to get our best candidate. And so we do post it as an elective class, being that it can be a business class, it can be an ag class, or it can be a Spanish class. Because all of those are very robust programs at the high school. So we want to be able to offer students elective classes that will align with the pathways at the high school. So if we end up with an elective that is in a business class, that would be a prereq leading students into the high school. Same thing if we were to add an ag position, that would lead into the pathways into the high school. And then if we were to add a Spanish teacher, our Spanish program at the high school is phenomenal and doing great things there. So we would have more of a Spanish program leading up into the high school as well. So we post for an elective position, and then we choose who our best candidate is going to be, who is going to be the most impactful teacher and bring the most impactful program to the middle school. So that is where we are. We would like to request an additional FTE for an elective position.
Lauren, how are you feeling about the budget?
We talked, the middle school has been very instrumental in balancing, their schedules, and they haven't really asked for very much over the several years I've been here. So I support it because I know it's what's best for kids, and we can make it happen. Anytime we spend more money FTE-wise, there's other effects that it's going to take place. Could be through negotiations, it could be cash balances. But in this case, I do support it. We had a lot of visits about this because I think my first response was probably no, but I'm on board with it. But you're going to take away from other areas, obviously, by increasing FTE. That's my final look at it. But I think the students will really benefit. I don't want PE classes that are so large that they're not productive, and so that's part of that problem too.
I like the approach of being kind of opportunistic in terms of what you pick based on the best possible candidate too. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Help me understand, if our elective classes are overloaded, how does one teacher change the dynamics of that?
Right now we have 4 basically elective classes that are taking place at that time. So that if we were to take, 4 or 5 from each of those classes and put them into the extra elective class, we're taking, where we would be having 28, 29 students in a class, we could now have, 23, 24, which is just a lot more manageable.
Right, and I can understand that, but now your approach to what you're going to offer based on what you're going to hire, I don't know that assures reduction somewhere else if they don't like the program, right?
We typically...
you can't make me like music and band just
right.
like you don't. So if somebody comes and is going to teach Spanish, maybe it doesn't do what you're trying to do. I'm asking.
That's why we're trying to get the best candidate, because we want the best candidate that is there for kids, that's engaging with students. That's where it's going to have to be the right person, because that is...
And the right program, in my mind.
Yep, absolutely.
Or you're not going to fix your problem.
Right. And that's why we want to make sure that when we have our candidates, that it is going to be a program that we think is going to be popular, especially for the community. And right now, the high school Spanish program is very, very popular. Kids want to get into that class. So if they have an opportunity to have a class that's starts the ball rolling in middle school, they'll be eager to take something like that. Same thing with ag, where they are able to, I mean, our ag program's super robust. So, and then our business, we have kids that are traveling with FBLA and all kinds of things. So we have 3 really robust programs at the high school that will help us market those programs at the middle school.
So are you looking for one person to teach multiple different?
It would be one person. So it would be Spanish or business or ag. So it'd be like 6th grade Spanish, 7th grade Spanish, 8th grade Spanish, or 6th grade ag, 7th grade ag, 8th grade ag. So that person would be one person teaching 3 different grade level contents.
Okay.
So are you going to interview people in all those areas in order to determine the best candidate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So when we market the position or put the position out there, we will say it's an elective position. And if you are a business teacher, an ag teacher, or a Spanish teacher, please apply.
Okay.
So we are going to specify that while we would interview multiple candidates across multiple disciplines, it would be one of those 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I think it makes sense to me. I would move that we approve item 5.3, approval of additional TMS elected position. Is there a second?
I would second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-0.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet,
Thanks.
Casey.
Approval of USD 464 enrollment projections for non-resident enrollment.
Yes. You know, as you all know, Cody Witt has been instrumental in putting all this together, and he reached out with all the building leads again a couple, 3 weeks ago, and has put this all together. There's really no changes except that we have to board approve this again each year. So that's why Cody's not here tonight, because there's nothing changed. The numbers are basically the same. We didn't have, I mean, everything went really well. You know, last year during enrollment, I don't think we had a single issue, did we?
No issue.
Nothing I can even think of. And so it's more of the same, just another year, and that's what this is about.
Were there any situations last year where the number that we picked either created or limited?
No, the only one we were thinking about was the elementary school, and it didn't happen. Yeah, it just didn't. So, yep.
Questions, comments? So this is regulatory based on all the current laws around
Absolutely.
non-resident.
Yeah, everybody has to have it before it's May.
All right. I would move that we approve item 5.4, approval of USD 464 enrollment projections for non-resident enrollment. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-0. All right. I think we do have an executive session.
Yep.
So I would move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss non-elected personnel matters for
Take very long, I don't think.
15 minutes.
Or less even if you want.
We'll just say 15.
Okay.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. All right.
Quick break. Anybody
Call the meeting back to order. There's one action item coming out of executive session. I would move that we renew coordinator contracts as presented by Mr. Feldkamp for Barbara Smith, Rebecca Peresta, Becky Naselroad, Mitch Loomis, Jill Keatsman, Forrest Krager, Audra Boone, and Brandy Taylor. Is there a second?
A second?
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-0. Any announcements or discussion? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.